What, first of all, attracted you to television back in the 1960s and basically made you want to pursue that career instead of law?
Well, in 1958, I was lucky enough to get a job at a small radio station in my hometown of Independence, Kansas. 10,000 people, one radio station. And so by the time I got out of law school in 1966, I had 10 years' experience. But I still was going to pursue the law until I filled in for a friend on doing a 6 o'clock news, and a tornado came through town. I happened to be the one on the air to say, for God's sake, take cover. And we were on 24 hours, and it really impressed upon me, well, the good that television can do. So I was off for a media career, didn't look back, spent 30 years with CBS, and then my own production company. So,
where in Mr. Kurtis, do you see television and radio in, let's say, 50 years?
50 years. Well, right now, in 5 years, let's say, we'll be getting television on our little, they call that short form programming. And 50 years, my goodness, probably the inside of your glasses. You know, there are good things and bad things about the media. It's pervasive in terms of being able to deliver information. I do these commercials for AT&T laptop connect card, and I discovered the internet. Al Gore invented the internet, but I discovered it. And I put it in my laptop in the back of the car that you were nice enough to get for me, and worked on my laptop all the way on the road. Now, I don't know that that's been possible before, just with a little cell phone connector. So it's something new every day. So convenience, it's great. However, with it comes a big price, and that price is we're overwhelmed by media these days. And when it comes to crime or trials, we can easily, I think, bring too much pressure to bear and maybe even influence where we shouldn't to some decisions.
I just want to commend you on how great an interviewer you are, because my next question was actually about television cameras in the courtroom and if they hurt or benefited the American justice system.
The eternal question. We certainly are going to it, and incidentally, I'd love to put cameras in that gorgeous courthouse that you have as you come through town. I think Indiana has more beautiful courthouses that they have saved than any other state in the Union. Just spectacular. It was our temple of the old days. You know, I think there are some judges who still believe that they affect the histrionics, if you will, of lawyers, and that people are influenced. But I tend to feel, and I bring my television experience to bear, that yes, I know there's a camera here, but once we engage in something in this interview, I sort of forget it's there. And I think that's the same principle that applies in a courtroom. Sure, they're there, and you may object to them in the beginning, but you'd better concentrate on what you're saying if you were a witness, or doing if you were a lawyer, because a life may hang in the balance.
Sure.
So I think they're more helpful.
Sure. And another question here for you. Has the media become, we're familiar with the checks and balances system of the government, of the three parties involved there. Has the media become a fourth arm to government in that case, in that respect?
I think it has, even more so than it has in the past. We've always been the fourth estate. And of course, when the Kennedy debate with Richard Nixon happened in 1960 in Chicago, it ushered in a new era. And all the advertising for politicians was geared toward television. Now, it seems as though television has dictated or concluded that Obama is going to win. It's just hands down, according to them. And you'll find all the stories beginning to reflect something that reinforces that conclusion. So I do believe that it's become too big. I've become very interested in Drew Peterson's case. There's an ex-cop in Chicago who is thought to have murdered his wife, two wives perhaps, and yet there's no evidence. None whatsoever. She may come walking back, and yet everybody believes he's a killer, a murderer. He has been convicted by the media in the press.
Sure. So in that respect, I guess is law ahead of society in the evolution factor? Does society evolve around the law, or does law evolve around the society?
Well, media has taken over. Media is now leading the way. We all want a day in court, but more important, now is a day in the media, because that's where cases are now tried, that's where reputations are won and lost, and so you better have a lawyer who knows how to handle himself on television, on the steps of the courthouse, rather than just, in addition to just inside.
Sure.
It just is a reality.
Sure. And just a closing question here for you. And if you had any kind of advice to give to potential or current communications students or broadcast, wanting to get in the broadcast field, what would you have for them?
Well, early on, you're going to be choosing. One purpose of a university is to give choices and expose students to as many of those choices as possible. What am I going to do when I grow up? I had a deep voice, so I thought I was going to use it somehow when I was a kid. So keep your eyes open and touch on everything. And if you then decide that you want to be on camera, work with your voice. Every chance you get, make a public appearance or a speech. I was a senior in college, and I went back out, I went for the debate team, and I had to debate with the lowly freshman. Think about that. How humiliating, and yet I did it because I wanted that experience, either for law or for the media. Do what you love is what the best experience is. And Michael Jordan told me this. He was smart enough in this basketball state. When I asked him, how do you determine a success? And he said, well, assess your talents. If you're 4'9", you're not going to be an NBA player. So assess your talents and what you like to do, and then go after it. And once you do that, you'll find that nothing is easy, but the road seems clearer because things fall into place.
Sure.
So good luck.
And that was Bill Kurtis.